China has a long military history, stretching back to the dawn of civilization. The current version of China's military, the People's Liberation Army, is now the largest standing military on the planet. But what's it like to be a member? Well, let's find out. This is Zhang Wei, a 19-year-old volunteer in the People's Liberation Army Ground Force. After graduating from high school, Zhang chose to serve his country by joining the PLA. Due to a combination of being from a family with little chance of furthering his education, a sense of patriotism that has been instilled throughout his life, and more than a bit of youthful desire for adventure. So, once Zhang had graduated from high school, he enlisted in the PLA. According to Chinese law, the government can conscript any physically able citizen for service, should the need arise. In practice, China fills its rank with a levy system, meaning the PLA sets a yearly quota of enlistment for each province. If they get enough volunteers, great. If not, the conscription begins. Because of China's titanic population, about 1.5 billion people, there's no shortage of volunteers, and conscription hasn't been used since 1949. Anyway, the recruit must be aged between 18 and 22 years old and a high school graduate, which the 18-year-old Zhang was when he signed up. The upper limit for college graduates increases to 24 years old, with those earning a master's degree able to enlist up to 26 years old. As the modern battlefield becomes more technical as well as tactical, those with advanced degrees are in high demand in the military for their special skills. Zhang is one of the 2 million-strong PLA, the largest military in the world, which is supported by the People's Armed Police, a paramilitary force that includes the Coast Guard, as well as a part-time militia force. Its budget, however, is harder to pin down. According to official reports, the Chinese government spent around $250 billion on its military in 2025, an increase of 7.2% over 2024. Unofficially, Western intelligence agencies and think tanks don't believe this figure, and their estimates range from between $474 billion and $700 billion. It's important to keep in mind that these figures are estimates based on secondhand information and come from sources that have an adversarial relationship with China, so a few pinches of salt are in order. It is still widely accepted that China's defense spending is second in the world behind the United States. The Chinese military is divided into several branches, which is collectively called the People's Liberation Army. The ground force is the largest, consisting of infantry, artillery, tanks, and other land-based forces. The People's Liberation Army Navy is, well, the Navy, and the PLA Air Force is the Air Force. No surprises there. The PLA Rocket Force, also called the Second Artillery Force, oversees China's nuclear arsenal and other long-range rockets and strategic missiles. Rounding it all out is the Strategic Support Force, concerned with cyber, electronic, and psychological operations, and the Joint Logistics Support Force, which handles logistics. The PLA has undergone some downsizing of the ground force, but it is still taking in new recruits, which is where Zhang was sent. He underwent basic training, which lasted for 3 months, where he was turned from a civilian to a soldier. It was here that it was instilled in him that he is not just joining a military, but what amounts to the armed wing of the Communist Party of China. China's leader, Xi Jinping, openly states that the military, quote, must never lose sight of the fact that following the party's command is its core duty, end quote. Well, to maintain ideological uniformity, units have a dual command system. In addition to the unit's commander, there's also a political commissar who oversees the training and education of the soldiers. They also oversee disciplinary issues and look after the welfare of the soldiers during their term in service. So, when Zhang graduates from basic training, he's already accustomed to being under a 2-tier command structure, one military and one political. Discipline is strict, and not all are cut out to be soldiers. For those who quit before their 2-year term is up, the penalties are harsh. Recently, a recruit wasn't able to hack the realities of military life and washed out. As a result, he was slapped with a host of penalties, including a fine of thousands of dollars, being banned from traveling abroad for 2 years, the inability to fly domestically or use long-distance trains, was banned from enrolling in college, opening his own business, and was permanently barred from working for the government in any capacity for the rest of his life. Zhang has no plans on leaving his term of service unfulfilled, but tales like these keep keep any thoughts about quitting from growing. Zhang was sent to the ground force, the largest of the branches of the military, though it's undergone a bit of a downsize in recent years. Though smaller, it's still also undergoing reforms to modernize. As an infantryman, Zhang has been issued a new rifle, one that will hopefully be more suited for a modern battlefield. This is the QBZ-191, a replacement for the QBZ-95, unveiled at a military parade in 2019. Chambered in 5.8 by 42mm, the rifle comes in 3 sub-variants: the standard rifle, the QZB-192, which is a short-barreled carbine version, and the QBU-191, which has a lengthened barrel for designated marksmen, and also has a select fire lever, which can provide a limited amount of fire support at a squad level. As an infantryman, Zhang has gone on many training exercises with other arms of service, especially artillery and tanks. He and the others in his unit are familiar with the Type 99A main battle tank and the older but still serviceable Type 96. There have been rumors of another tank that may join them on the battlefield, called either the TZT-201 or the TZT-20. There is very little reliable information available, though it appears to possess a hybrid diesel and electric power plant that can generate 1,500 horsepower. The tank is also light, weighing roughly half that of an M1 Abrams. This may be part of a shift in Chinese military doctrine, emphasizing flexibility over raw power. This, of course, is speculative, and the new tank might just be a prototype. Even with all this new gear, the life of a soldier like Zhang isn't much different from other militaries around the world. His time, like that of soldiers, sailors, and airmen around the world, consists of doing their assigned task, training, and fitting into a strict routine, though Zhang and his comrades do so under the watchful eye of his commissar. And of course, there's the eating. Like their American counterparts, MREs come in plastic pouches and have a chemical heating agent that can warm up the meal without a flame in about 15 minutes. Meals can include curry chicken and fried rice, red braised pork, and spiced yak, which is in the form of dried jerky. These can be accompanied by energy bars, biscuits, and chocolate. Their taste is, well, it's the army, not a Michelin-starred restaurant. It's not just the food, but how it's eaten. Using the maxim that eating is a timed battle, soldiers of the PLA are encouraged to finish their meals as quickly as possible. According to some soldiers who were interviewed, they can polish off their meals in under 5 minutes, with at least one claiming to eat it in under 3. Zhang once timed himself and finished off an MRE packet in 6.5 minutes. Not bad. There's no specific regulation about how fast a meal is to be eaten, but speed is encouraged. In warfare, time is of the essence. When soldiers eat quickly, they can move on to other more important tasks, which hopefully translates to a more effective fighting force. So, with all this being said, what are they preparing for? Well, the last time China fought a full-scale war was in a brief, month-long conflict in the late 1970s against Vietnam, which was a disaster, though Vietnam does have a track record of embarrassing larger world powers. Since then, they've largely remained out of conflicts, aside from some border skirmishes. In the 21st century, they've become more active on the world stage, sending an infantry battalion to South Sudan for peacekeeping in 2015, provided humanitarian aid to Libya in 2011, and the Navy has engaged in anti-piracy campaigns along the Horn of Africa. So far, Zhang has not been deployed abroad, but it's always in the back of his mind as he does his duty. Already a year into it, Zhang is halfway done with his service. He's wrestling with the idea of staying on. If he does, he'll be fast-tracked to becoming an NCO. He could also leave, his military duty done, no more strict routine, no more commissars, and he can then live his own life. It's a decision that he will ultimately have to make.